Here we have our Utah Jazz spreadsheet that displays the 2015-2016 schedule and scores with a little bit of data. And what I want to do is I want to get a couple more columns that does a running total of my wins and my losses. So I'm going to use the CountIf function. So CountIf, it checks a range of cells, and if the cells within that range meet a certain criteria, it will count them. So in this example, I want it to count them if it is a win, and I don't want it to count it if it's a loss. So let me show you how this works. I type equals count if, and there's two pieces to this function. There's a range and a criterion. So my range is going to be over here in my result. Now, because I want to do a running total, I'm not going to select the whole column, because if I select the whole column, well, let me just show you what I get. So if I select the whole column and do comma, my criterion is wins, so I do a quote, W quote. Basically, what I'm telling Google Sheets is if there's a W in this column, count it. And I hit enter. Well, that tells me the total wins of all within column F. And that's not really what I want. I want a running total. So the best way to do this is if I change my formula over here, and I'm still going to do a range, but I'm going to do a 3 and then a 3 here. Now what that does is now I'm just checking the first cell. Now there's still one more thing to do. Let me show you why. So if I only do this formula right now and hit enter, so that's right? Total wins, 0, and we haven't had any wins. But watch what happens if I do paste this formula down. Notice it's not a running total. It's just counting. It's basically just counting it if it's a win and counting it and not counting if it's not a win. So that's not really what we want either. Now to figure out what we need to do, let's look at the formula just below it. So you notice now it's only checking the one cell. So let me show you what I would do. So in my top formula, I'm checking F3. Well, I'm going to change this to range F3. Okay, so F3 through F3, which that still is for this cell, that's the reference we want to check. But I'm going to put an absolute sign in front of the first F3. What that's going to do is now when I copy this down, my range will include F3 up to F4. And then if I copy this down one more time, now it's going to include F3 through F5. So that absolute allows me to basically count everything up to the current cell. If I take this and drag it all the way down, whoop, you can see now it's adding up my wins. And remember, our total was 40. So yeah, we're adding up our total wins up to that point. Now we can do the same thing with losses. We'll go through this one a little bit quicker. So equals count if, and my range and criterion is going to be range, same thing. So I'm going to select this cell, F3 through F3, but I want to come back in and remember I throw that little dollar sign in here, right? I'm trouble finding the dollar sign. There we go. And then I'm going to come right over here, comma, and this time instead of checking wins, I'm going to check losses. So I'm going to do L. And now we can see the total losses. Okay, so that's in a nutshell how to use the CountIf function and one example of when you might use it.